fight against COVID-19 continues. You may have heard this morning that the figures are going the right way in Cavan and Monaghan, having peaked at the start of the year. They are now thankfully decreasing. And we receive a number of messages and comments to do with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, but we received one from a Castleblayney woman, Joanne Clarke, a few days ago, which really did stick with us, and it highlighted what a family feels when they're going through the grieving process during a pandemic such as this. I'm glad to say that Joanne is with me on the line. Joanne, thanks for being with us this afternoon and choosing to talk to us. As we said there, you got in contact with us through Facebook after your father had passed away recently. Can you explain why you decided to get in touch with us?
Okay, firstly, Aaron, thanks for having me on. I suppose, first and foremost, it was to make people aware that, this virus is real. And, I suppose I wouldn't like to see any other family go through what, we are as a family are going through right now. We are experiencing the darkest days of our lives at this moment in time. And, I generally would be a very private and personal person and generally wouldn't post anything on social media platforms. But on that day, I just felt the need to do so. I just needed to get it out there that this virus knows no boundaries, as we as a family very well know. And, another thing that was kind of getting to me at the time, I for one would sit down every evening and watch either the RTE 6 News or the 9 o'clock news, and very much for the last year was, behind the death figures, the cases, etc. But this really got to me, after my dad had passed, because, behind all of these daily figures were real people, and I suppose these people, all, had a face, a name, an identity, a personality, and there was a family behind every one of these figures. And these families, like ourselves and like so many others, are grieving in the strangest of circumstances. Those figures and those people, they still had so much to give in life, just like our late dad. He was robbed from us, and he was only a young man, and he still had so much to give. And I just felt I wanted to get that message out there.
And can you tell us a little bit about your father, about Joe Kelly and the sort of man he was and how people may have remembered him?
Of course. Dad was 72 years of age, and he was absolutely amazing. First and foremost, he was the most devoted husband to our mother. Our mother passed away very suddenly, only 19 months ago, and he was an incredible husband to Mammy. He was one of those dads that, at the drop of a hat, would do absolutely anything for us. He was absolutely amazing. He was a gentleman in every way. He was caring, he was generous, non-judgmental. He just saw the good in everyone. He was always full of energy and so active. He was so fit and active. He had 17 grandkids who he absolutely adored, and in return they idolised their Granda Joe. At the drop of a hat, Granda Joe would, if it was the painting of a room or the wallpaper or put a mirror up or a picture up, at the drop of a hat, Granda Joe would be there to the grandkids' call. He was very much a hands-on granddad. He was one of these granddads that just took so much interest in his grandkids. They were very much into their sport, and he was their number one supporter. He followed them the length and breadth of the county and indeed the country to support them. And he was so proud of each and every one of them. But not only that, Daddy was a very good neighbour to all his neighbours here in Castleblayney. He was so willing and was so willing to do anything they would ask of him. He had one sister left in Dundalk, and he was such a loyal brother to his sister Tilly. since Mommy passed. Mom had gone, but till he took Mommy's shoes, he looked after her. Weekly visits to his sister, took her down to Blackrock to get her groceries, did anything she needed done. Aaron, he was just one of those textbook daddies. He was everything.
And since his passing just over a month ago, Joanne, I can only imagine that it's something that thousands of other families have been going through over the past year, and your family is no different to the others. In I must imagine the difficulty in being able to grieve properly. We know how great the Irish are at having funerals and grieving, and how the community can come together when someone like your father, someone very well respected, passes away. I don't know, what has the past month been like for yourselves?
It's been horrendous, Aaron. I have there's 5 of us now. My brothers are closer at hand, but I have 2 sisters, and we're a very, very close family. And one of them's in Waterford and the other's in Clare. And all I want now is just to be with them, to be with my sisters, to be able to sit and have a wee chat, have a wee cry, reminisce, go through photos, have a laugh together, talk about the good old days. But we can't do that, Aaron. It's the phone calls 2-3 times a day, and that's all that's keeping us going. It's so hard. Now, in the line of neighbours and friends and good family friends, the texts, the phone calls, the letters of support that we've received as a family over the last couple of weeks has been immense. They've been a source of comfort to us at a time when our hearts are just shattered. But it's not only those that has passed with COVID. Like, it's anyone that has passed since all of the restrictions have come in the last year. It's so hard. Like, there's no funeral. Well, there's a funeral, but there was 10. The restrictions meant that there was only 10 in the church. I suppose Dad got the best send-off possible in the times we're in. Like, it just showed you what people thought of him. They lined the streets on his final journey through the town to his place of rest at a social distance. And to those people, we'll be forever grateful. It was a lovely act of compassion, and it just was a little source of comfort to us as a family. But it's just going to be a very, very long road, Aaron, and I'm not sure how we're ever going to get through it. No different than any other family, but it's the grieving process that's so hard. Not having anyone, not having those you want with you. You can't have them with you.
We're hearing now that the case numbers are thankfully in decline, that there is light in the end of the tunnel in terms of the current restrictions we're in, and with the vaccination rollout, it seems that there's hopefully a grip being got on this virus. Are you and your family fit to take any hope from, I suppose, the improving situation here, knowing that it mightn't be too far away the day when you're fit to see your sisters, you're fit to have that hug and that cry?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, regarding the restrictions, Aaron, I'm fed up of them. My late dad was fed up of them. In fact, we're all fed up of these impositions that's on our lives. But as you say, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and with the rollout of the vaccine. But I think it's important that we can't lose our guard here, and when that time comes, and it will come, that we will be able to all get together again. But it's just a very, very slow process. But, at the end of the day, we're all in it together. And, what's important is that we will all get there and we will get to hug again. But, I don't want any of you listening to this, or indeed any other family, I don't want any of you missing a link from your family chain when we can all hug again. I don't want any of you missing that link. And I think it's important that we all stick together. We're in it for each other. We're in it for our loved ones. We're here to protect our frontline staff, like the frontline staff, the staff in ICU in Drogheda were absolutely amazing. They were our lifeline. They were with our dad. They acted as our dad's family at a time when we couldn't be there. So we have to protect them. We have to protect each other. We're all in this together, Aaron.
The situation, have you highlighted there that it's many other families people who have died either from COVID, with COVID, or from any other reason over the past year, that it has been very difficult. And you had mentioned it at the start that people sometimes forget when we hear numbers of cases and numbers of deaths that there are people, there are faces behind those, and behind those people there are families who are grieving and being fit, doing their best, like yourselves, to put on a brave face and get up every morning after that.
Yeah, it's very true. And you know, these people, as I said earlier, like, they all have a face, a name. They all have had so much more to give in life. And like Dad, you know, Dad was only 72, and he was a very fit and healthy 72-year-old. And you know, he has been robbed from us, like we have been robbed of our dad. And my children and my nieces and nephews, 17 of them in total, have been robbed of their granddad Joe. And that's the hard part. Like, me talking to you here today is not going to change anything. We're not going to have Dad back. But if just one person, you know, if it just helps one person or saves one person from either contracting COVID or from thinking, but you know what, this isn't an essential journey, I don't need to go to the shop today. You know, that's my message, is to just please stick by the guidelines. We have light at the end of the tunnel. And please, I want you all not to be there as a family when COVID is behind us.
I just want to thank you, Joanne, for speaking to us today, and for sharing your story and your message that if one person can take something from it, then that would be a benefit to us all on the back of that. But thanks for talking to us.